everyone. Welcome to the lecture number 28 of the NPTEL lecture series on charging infrastructure. In today's lecture, we will discuss the closed loop control of three-phase AC/DC converter. We have been discussing this closed loop control from past two lecture, and this is the next part of that where we will go and see how we can get the closed loop control of this converter. Now if we see the control objective, there are primarily two control objective is obviously regulating the output voltage at a desired value, and the second is another one which is very important, that while regulating the voltage at the output, we also want that the current drawn from the AC source should be having the unity power factor. That means the phase angle between the phase current and the phase voltages is equal to 0. In order to have the three phase balance operation, the voltage of the phase voltages and the phase currents are actually dependent on each other. That means we can write ISA plus ISB plus ISC is equals to 0, and since we are controlling the current in order to achieve the unity power factor, so if we are controlling the ISA current, if we are changing the A phase current, the B and C phase current will get impacted, and if we change the B phase current, A and C will change, and if we change the C phase current, then A and B will change. So all the three quantities are dependent on each other. Now to make it independent, we moved from three phase system to two phase system. Now in two phase system, we have defined alpha and beta axis, which is nothing but the stationary reference frame, where we see that since the alpha and beta are 90° from each other, thus the quantity represented in alpha and beta frame are mutually independent of each other. Since the alpha and beta axes are 90° from each other, thus whatever changes you do in the alpha component is not gonna have any impact on the beta component, and any change in the beta component will have 0 impact on the alpha component. And that is when you can independently control the alpha component and beta component. That is when you will get the independent control of the two phase quantities. So we moved from three phase quantities to two phase quantity in order to make them independent, and then from two phase quantity we move to DQ frame, which is synchronous rotating frame, and where we ensure that the D axis or the direct axis is aligned along the supply voltage space vector. The reason being because the supply voltages are the one which has the minimal deviation, and we do not have any control on that. So that is why that is the one of the reference space vector, and we align our direct axis along the supply voltage space vector, which is nothing but Vs space vector. And the quadrature axis is 90° apart from D axis. So thus the quantities expressed in terms of D and Q axis are independent of each other. That means D component of the space vector is mutually independent of the Q component of the space vector, and the D is perfectly aligned across the supply voltage space vector by ensuring that the VSQ component is equals to 0. That is when the D axis is aligned along the Vs space vector. So since we are just making VSQ component equal to 0, so whatever the Vs space vector is there is nothing but has only the VSD component, and that VSD component is actually determining the overall magnitude of source voltage space vector. And since we have aligned our D axis along the voltage space vector, and this voltage space vector is rotating with the speed which is equal to omega, which is nothing but the speed with which the voltage is varying with respect to time t. So the omega corresponds to the line frequency, which is nothing but 2 pi fs, which is nothing but the line frequency we have considered in our system. And since this D axis is aligned along this voltage space vector, that means D and Q axis is also rotating with the same speed omega. That is why it is also called as the synchronous rotating reference frame, or sometimes also called a rotating reference frame. Now we can model our three phase converter which looks something like this. It has L, it has RS and these 3 phase switches. So, if we can model this converter using the DQ axis frame, then we can ensure that the quantities we obtain from the DQ axis models, that means the current ISD current or an ISQ current, which are the projections of current space vector on the D axis and Q axis, they are mutually independent of each other, as they are 90-degree apart from each other, and whenever we are doing any changes on ISQ, there is no change on ISD, and whenever you are doing changes on ISD, there is no change in ISQ. And so, when we have derived this D axis model and Q axis model, we get this expression, which is nothing but L di by dt ISD plus RS ISD. RS is nothing but the internal resistance of the inductor, and that is nothing but equal to minus the D component of V converter voltage and the Q component of V converter voltage, plus we have two terms coming in the D axis model, which is VSD and omega L ISQ, and this is the term which is actually corresponds to the cross coupling term. These are cross coupling term, because in D axis we need to use the ISQ component, which is component of current space vector along the Q axis. Similarly, if we take the Q axis model, we have L di by dt ISQ plus RS ISQ, nothing but equal to minus the magnitude of V converter space vector along the Q axis minus omega L ISD. Again, this is a cross coupling term what we achieve from our conversion, going from the 3-phase circuit to the alpha beta axis, and then going to the rotating reference frame system, modeling the system in the rotating reference frame. And when we see this one, there are two prime objective, obviously maintaining the output voltage, and the second one is we have to ensure that our current in all the 3 phases are having the unity power factor. That means what? If the current is having a unity power factor, it indicates my IS space vector, whatever is there, which contains the combined information of all the 3 phases, that means ISA, ISB, ISC, because from ISA, ISB, ISC we obtain alpha beta IS alpha and IS beta component, and from IS beta and IS alpha component we are getting the ISD and ISQ component. And then when we take this ISD and ISQ component will actually corresponds to the IS. So, if we can ensure that this space vector is aligned along the VS space vector, then we can ensure that in all the 3 phases the phase currents and the phase voltages, the supply phase voltages are having 0 phase angles, that means having the unity power factor operation. So, that means to have unity power factor operation, if I can somehow ensure that IS space vector is aligned along the Vs space vector, then I can ensure that we have the unity power factor operation. Now, this how we can ensure this alignment is done by making sure this phi, which is shown over here, is equals to 0. That means what? If I am making phi equal to 0, that means this IS space vector is aligned along the voltage space vector, and this IS space vector and voltage space vector is aligned along the D axis. That means the IS space vector only has the ISD component and there is no ISQ component, which indicate my ISQ component is equals to 0. And if my ISQ component is equals to 0, so I can write my IS space vector to be equal to ISD plus J0, and accordingly we will get the IS space vector. And then we can just control our ISD component, and in that way we can ensure that the IS space vector is perfectly aligned along the VS space vector, and we can control the magnitude of this IS space vector by controlling the ISD value. And whenever we are controlling the ISD component, we are not having any impact on the Q component, because Q component we are making it equal to 0, and that is when I can ensure that we have the independent control, and I am just controlling the in phase or D component of supply current, and we are forcing it to be aligned along the V space vector, and that is when we can ensure that we have in all the three phases the unity power factor, and we can change the magnitude of current drawn by changing the ISD component. So this is how we can get the independent control of the ISD and ISQ component. And now let us say if we wanted to inject some reactive component of current, then we can make the ISQ component to be non-zero and then separately control the ISQ component and ISD component, and that is when you can also supply the reactive component of current, and you can have the required active compensation. But however, in our case, since we are drawing current from the grid, we wanted it to be having the unity power factor, and that is when we are ensuring my ISQ component to be 0. That is when my IS space vector is aligned along the VS space vector, because this angle phi becomes equal to 0. Now if you look very carefully, alpha beta component, that means when you are converting ISA, ISB, ISC to IS alpha and IS beta, this I alpha and beta axis are stationary axis, while this Vs space vector, or you can say the space vector which contains the information of all the phase A, phase B, phase C voltages, are actually rotating in a space. Since it is rotating in a space, so if we look very carefully, the alpha component and beta component is actually having a varying sinusoidally. Is varying sinusoidally with a phase difference of 90°, because see, these are stationary, and if we change our Vs component, so let us say if they are lying along the alpha, so that is when your alpha component is at the peak and beta component is 0, and when it goes to beta component, alpha becomes 0, and so that means it start from here, alpha component, it start from here Vs, or you can say Is space vector, if it is here, it starts from peak, it goes to beta, that is when it goes to 0, and then it comes back 180° where it is maximum negative peak, and then it again goes to this one where it is at 0, and then finally it comes back here which is at peak. So we see that we have the sinusoidal variation like this, going like this. So our Is alpha, Is beta, and our Vs alpha, Vs beta, and our V converter alpha, V converter beta voltages are actually varying sinusoidally with a phase shift of 90°. And why beta is 90°? Because that is happening just 90° apart from, I mean the variation is 90° apart from this thing. And now this varies sinusoidally with a phase shift of angle theta with respect to time t. Why with respect to time? Here we are talking about space, and here we have converted the information from the space to the time domain. Why we are saying time domain? Because we assume that this space vector is rotating with omega equal to 2 pi fs, corresponds to the line frequency. That means our ABC quantities are also varying with the same frequency fs with respect to time. So we can correlate that space with respect to the time. So that is when our Is alpha and Is beta quantity, if you look, the Is alpha, Is beta, Vs alpha, Vs beta, V converter alpha, V converter beta, this sinusoidally varying with respect to time. And then from here, if we convert it into ISD, ISQ, and VSD, VSQ, V converter D, V converter Q. Now if we look this particular quantities, since this dq, this space vectors which is Vs, Is, and V converter space vector are rotating with its angular speed omega, having the fixed phase angle between them, but they are all rotating with a speed omega. And since my dq axis is also rotating with angular speed omega, then if you look from the dq axis frame, all the three space vector, which is Vs space vector, Is space vector, and V converter space vector, are looking like a stationary, are stationary with respect to d and q frame, because d and q frame is also rotating with omega speed, and my all the three space phasor is also rotating with omega speed. So with respect to the d and q axis, this all three quantities, when they are represented in the d in the form of d and q, then we see that these D and Q quantities are stationary quantities. That means we can say they are the DC quantities. So what we have done, from 3-phase varying dependent quantity we converted into 2-phase independent quantities which are also varying sinusoidally with respect to time, and then from that two mutually independent phase quantity we have converted into dq quantities which are a dc quantities. Now since they have a dc quantities, we can easily implement the closed loop control and use the controllers like conventional pi controllers, conventional proportional integral controller. Since the dq quantities are DC quantities, we can apply conventional PI controllers to control the DQ DC quantities. What I mean by that, here since we are controlling the supply current or the current drawn from the source, so that means we are controlling the ISD and ISQ, and we can do the controlling of ISD and ISQ by using the conventional PI, because if we take the conventional PI, we have the pole which get introduced at s equal to 0. That means if we look the transfer function of Kp Ki, it is Kp plus Ki by S, that becomes Kp S plus Ki by S, and that indicates it has the pole at s equal to 0, that means you can apply very infinite gain at the DC, that means at s equal to 0, and that's you can ensure that the feedback is actually following the reference, and thus you can able to obtain a very effective closed loop control. And since D and Q quantities are independent of each other, we can get mutually independent two phase or two loop structure to actually do the independent control on the ISD and ISQ, and that's when we can ensure that by properly defining that ISQ reference and ISD reference, we can ensure that we can able to regulate the output voltage as well as having the unity power factor operation. Now let us try to derive the closed loop control loop, how the closed loop control loop look like. So if we see our converter, what we have is L and RS, and we have the 3-phase half bridge converter, and this 3-phase half bridge converter is actually modulated using the pulse width modulation. Assume we are doing the modulation using the sinusoidal pulse width modulation, where we are ensuring the modulating wave, which is Vm, is actually varying sinusoidally, and thus we can ensure that the average pole voltage variation at the output of these half bridges are actually having the sinusoidal variation. So that is the DQ axis model, and if we see this L and RS, so we have already taken the impact of applying the voltages across these L and RS. So we have in these two equations we have actually kind of trying to capture the dynamics which could have occurred by L and RS. I mean obviously we have represented in a time domain, so that we could able to accommodate some of the dynamics which could occur because of L and RS. However, there is this converter also, and assume the 3 half bridges are modulated using sinusoidal pulse width modulation. So what we are doing is we are having the carrier, high frequency carrier like this, very high frequency carrier, and we have the modulating wave which is kind of looks very stationary with respect to the carrier wave, because we have assumed that our FC carrier or similar to that of FSW is very much greater than Fs, which is the line frequency. So now let us see in this case what could have happened. Now assume you have done the closed loop control. If you wanted to change this ISA, ISB, ISC, you can only change, because see, this side VN, VBN, VCN are constant. So you can only change this, the voltages which is appearing at the output of the half bridges in an average sense, in a one cycle period. Now how you can change the output from these half bridges? We are actually doing the averaging over the cycle period, or you can say that over the switching period, that means over the carrier cycle period. So now when we are doing the averaging of that, then we can change that average variation by changing this. Let's say if this was here, changing this modulating wave to change the average pole voltage variation. Since we are actually controlling the current from the source, because this we cannot change, L and RS value we cannot change once it has been designed. So only one way by which we can change, if we can vary the output of the half bridges by changing the modulating wave. So this is our modulating wave. We are changing our modulating wave or modulating signal, because carrier we are not going to change, because we are assuming we have the constant frequency operation. So now if we are doing this change, now assuming this time to this time is nothing but TC, which is also you can say that TSSW, which is nothing but 1 by FSW or 1 by FC. So now if this is the case, so what has happened? The best possible scenario is if I can change, if I do this change at right at this point, that means whenever the change occur, it can occur directly at this point, and then that particular change is captured at this instance, that means at t, let us say at t equal to 0 instance. And the worst case scenario is, that means worst case scenario means, let us say if this happens right after this point, and I mean the time after which this change can reflect is after t equal to Tc. So the best case scenario is t equal to 0, and the worst case scenario, that means this there is a delay of one cycle time, because that could have happened just right after this comparison has occurred. So the best case scenario is t equal to 0. The worst case delay what we can expect when we are doing this change in the modulating wave, the worst case delay in the response we can expect is one carrier cycle period. So we can say that average time delay in response towards change in modulating wave is Td. Let us define Td is nothing but 0 plus TSW by 2, where TSW is nothing but same as a carrier period, a switching period is same as carrier period, which is nothing but equal to 1 by Fc or 1 by Fsw. So that implies my average delay in response towards the change in the modulating wave is nothing but TSW by 2. Now this, the average delay in response will be appearing at the output of these half bridges, and if we assume this to have the the best possible case scenario is to have the single order delay function, so we can define the transfer function of three phase half bridge. We are only consider the half bridge, we are not considering any delay which could have occurred due to the change in the current in inductor or change in the voltage across the capacitor. So the transfer function of this three phase half bridge, we can just say that it is nothing but G by 1 plus STD, where TD we know nothing but T switch by 2, and G is nothing but the gain. G is nothing but, we can write it is nothing but V naught by 2 divided by Vc. That means when we are having this carrier, here we are going from 0 to 2 Vc, from 0 to 2 Vc or minus Vc to plus Vc. Then when we are going from 0 to 2 Vc, we are actually applying either if we are making sure the modulating wave is here, we are actually applying the 0 voltage, and if our modulating wave reaches to this peak value or to at 2 Vc, we are actually applying the V0 voltage at the output of half bridge, because when this modulating wave reach till this point, let's say the modulating wave is here, then at every instant of time my modulating wave is greater than the carrier wave, and if my modulating wave is greater than the carrier wave, I will always turn on the top switch, and when I always turn on the top switch, it is the voltage V0. Obviously with respect to this point we are applying at the pole of the half bridge, and then whenever the modulating wave is here at the least bottom, then at that point always my carrier is greater than modulating wave, that's when we will turn on all the bottom switches, and when we will turn on the bottom switches, then we will apply actually the 0 voltage at the pole of this converter, that means VAN. If we take this as capital N, then the voltage of VAN will be 0. So the gain what I get is nothing but V0 whenever I am making sure my modulating wave is nothing but equal to 2 Vc, and that's when we can define this transfer function to be nothing but G by 1 by STD. And whenever there is a change in the modulating wave, there will be change in the current, because this side voltage is constant, this side voltage is varying, so there will be change in the current, and thus the change in three phase currents will also reflect changes in ISD and ISQ currents, whose dynamics can be obtained by D and Q axis models. Now let us define the D and Q axis model in the form of frequency domain, and then we can obtain the closed loop control block diagram. Now if you look very carefully our DQ axis model, what we have is we have represented in terms of time domain. We can take it to the frequency domain. Okay, let us take in this way. Take it to the frequency domain. We can write SL, we can take the Laplace on either side, become SL plus RS is nothing but, if we can do ISD of S is nothing but, what we are doing is minus V converter of D, we are applying minus V converter of D, and this particular term is actually coming along with this application of V converter. So in the closed loop operation we will ensure that these two things will get cancel out, and that cancellation we can do it by adding the V feed forward. So we can add some V feed forward, we can apply for the D axis, and similarly we can do for the Q axis. We have SL plus RS ISQ of S, nothing but minus V converter Q, and we can then also add some V forward across Q axis, and we can write this V forward of D axis is nothing but, we will add such feed forward such that we can actually cancel out these two terms. If we can cancel out these two terms, then we can ensure that there is no cross coupling, as well as this is a constant quantity, so we can also eliminate that quantity as well. So that V forward could be minus omega L ISQ and then minus VSD, and since we are having the gain G, so we will represent this by gain G. We will thus divide it by gain G. So this when it is multiplied with the transfer function of the half bridge converter, which is G by 1 plus STD, then the G and G will get cancelled out, and that voltages will be applied across the L and RS in the circuit. And similarly we can write for V feed forward of Q. Now this V forward of Q, if we see this, that we will add such feed forward in the VQ converter such that this particular term will get cancelled out, and that we can write this is nothing but omega L ISD, and if we can add these two feed forward, so we can ensure that this particular term gets cancelled out, and that's when we can ensure there is no cross coupling happening between the D axis model and Q axis model, and we can make this both the axis ISD and ISQ to be independent of each other. So after this feed forward term we will add this omega, because these are already there in this system ISQ. Obviously we are applying through the converter, so with a gain G, so we will divide by gain G plus VSD by G, and in the VSQ we have minus omega L ISD. So this, when this feed forward term gets added up, here also we have divided by G, and here also we have divided by G. So when we will add this feed forward term in this one, this feed forward term will actually cancel out the effect of this cross coupling term, ISQ term in ISD model and ISD term in ISQ model, and it will also cancel out this VSD by G effect as well, and that is when we can actually cancel out this effect of these terms. So, let us draw the closed loop control diagram of the converter. So, our primary objective is obviously we are actually V naught reference, whatever V naught reference you are actually having, then this V naught reference you are actually comparing with V naught feedback or V naught actual, let us say defined feedback. Obviously, it is in S domain, and this we will send it to voltage controller, and this voltage controller will actually after passing through this limit term, it will actually, since we know that we are doing the unity power factor operation, that means we are actually aligning our Is space vector along the Vs space vector. So, that means we are ensuring our Q component of current is 0 and only we have ISD component of current. So, whatever there is change in the output voltage, that output voltage need to be compensated, that means extra current to be drawn from the source or less current to be drawn from the source, that both the things has to be done using the ISD component. So, here we have ISD reference, this will actually determine by ISD reference, and this I will compare it with ISD feedback. Obviously, in the S domain we are doing, and this we are comparing with ISD reference, and this will then go through current controller, ISD current controller. Now, since this is implemented in the converter, so the output of this will be, we can say that it is V converter of D. Now, if we look V converter of D, we are getting here and we have to multiply it with minus sign. So, this we will multiply it with the minus sign, and then, or just let us take the, I mean here first the plus sign, and this will be added up with the, if you look very carefully, we are now adding the feed forward term. The first feed forward term is nothing but omega L ISQ by gain G. So, we will add omega L ISQ by G, that term we will add, and this we will just send it to negative sign because both are of negative sign, and this will be nothing but my VSD by G, and the output of this will be, if you look very carefully, we have already defined this and this feed forward term, that means already this will get cancelled out. So, this is the feed forward term which we are applying, this is already there in the model. So, we can say that if we look this one carefully, this is already there in this model, and because of adding this feed forward, this to get cancelled out, this all will get cancelled out. So, we will leave that apart because of adding this feed forward term, and this will be actually finally going to the converter G by 1 plus S TD. This is converter transfer function or 3-phase half bridge transfer function, and this is actually comes back here, and then you are applying it to the, this particular thing you are applying it across the SL plus RS. This will be 1 by SL plus RS. So, here we were applying actually my V converter D from this V converter D, and here it was in the modulating wave, here we get it in the actual sense, and that will be actually defining my ISD component. So, we will send it through current sensor, and we will define this current sensor to have this transfer function K1 divided by 1 plus ST1, and this ISD will come from there. And then we will just do the multiplication factor K, we will define what is K as we go along. This will actually determine my I converter. If you look what is I converter, it is here. So from the ISD we have to define the I converter, and after this I converter we can pass it through 1 by SC to actually give me my output voltage V naught, and that V naught we will actually take feedback using the voltage sensor with a gain K2 divided by 1 plus T2, and this will be actually taken feedback like this. Similarly, this is for the D component of the circuit. Now we also have the Q component of the circuit, and since we want to have the unity power factor, so we can define another independent loop, which is nothing but ISQ reference we will define, and this ISQ reference is equals to 0, and this we will compare it with the feedback ISQ feedback, obviously in terms of S. This is nothing but going to current controller, and then after that we have to, this we will define V converter of Q. This will be now, if you look very carefully, minus, and this will be plus VFQ we have to do. So that will be plus, if we say VFQ, which is plus nothing but omega L ISD by G, and this is then going to G pi 1 plus STD, and this is then going to 1 by SL plus RS, and that will give you my ISQ value, and this it will be feedback through the current sensor whose transfer function is K1 by 1 plus ST1. Now this K1 by 1 plus ST1 is the transfer function of current sensor, and K2 by 1 plus ST2 is transfer function of voltage or output voltage sensor. And if you look very ISQ, this ISQ we can take it from this place itself, and this ISD we can take it from this place itself, the feedback itself. In that way we can ensure the ISD feedback is following the ISD reference, and ISQ feedback is following the ISQ reference, and that's when we are ensuring that we are having the unity power factor operation from the 3-phase AC to DC converter. So we will discuss the further understanding how to design these controllers in the next class, and thank you very much for patiently listening to this lecture. Thank you.